I had every right to have these documents.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump again proclaimed his innocence in a speech following his arraignment in a Miami court over charges he illegally kept top-secret documents upon leaving the White House. But legal experts told Reuters the classified documents case against him is formidable, saying neither the law nor the facts appear to be on his side. Nima Rahmani is a former federal prosecutor.
It's still a very strong case from an evidentiary perspective. You have the pictures and the indictments. You have Trump being recorded, making admissions, and also his own posts on social media where he says, I knew these documents were classified. I have a right to have them. The problem is that that legal argument fails. You're admitting knowledge and intent. So the question is, are we going to find 12 impartial jurors who are going to follow the law, apply the facts, and if so, we may see a guilty verdict here.
Trump pleaded not guilty to the 37-count indictment in federal court. The former president, who was once again seeking the White House in 2024, faces charges that include violations of the Espionage Act, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and making false statements to investigators.
It's a wonderful birthday.
The greatest peril for Trump, who turned 77 on Wednesday, could lie in the conspiracy to obstruct justice charges, which carry a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison.
Threatening me with 400 years in prison.
Legal experts said the evidence appears to show that Trump was aware he had documents in his possession that were subject to a subpoena but refused to turn them over, and encouraged his lawyers to mislead the FBI.
My office will seek a speedy trial in this matter.
Special counsel Jack Smith, who is handling the case, said last week that Trump will have a speedy trial, but James Sample, a professor of constitutional law at Hofstra University, said Trump's legal team will likely seek to slow the process.
Donald Trump, in his public remarks, has said that he would like a speedy trial. And if he actually demands a speedy trial, then he's entitled to a very, very rapid process. I don't think there's a chance in the world that his public remarks and his private litigation strategy will square up at all. I think he will file motions to suppress evidence. I think he will file motion after motion in order to try and drag this case out.
Rahmani agrees.
Obviously, Donald Trump wants to push this past the November 2024 election, and the reason is this. It's well established that no sitting president can be prosecuted. So if he wins, the case goes away. Even if another Republican like DeSantis wins, I would expect that they would try to fire special counsel Jack Smith for good cause. So I think delay is Trump's friend in this case. Of course, if a trial happens earlier, it can certainly affect the results of the election. And if we do get 12 jurors that are willing to just follow the evidence, it's maybe a case where Trump not only gets convicted, he gets actual prison time.
Trump's lawyers did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
A New York grand jury voted on Wednesday to indict former U.S. Marine Daniel Penny in the killing of Jordan Neely, a homeless man, last month. Penny, a 24-year-old white man, was captured on video putting Neely, who was black, in a chokehold on a Manhattan train in May. Eyewitnesses say that Neely, a 30-year-old former Michael Jackson impersonator who struggled with mental illness, had been shouting and causing a disturbance, but did not physically threaten anyone before Penny grabbed him. Penny has said he acted to defend himself and others and did not intend to kill Neely. Though he was questioned by police that day, Penny was not arrested until 11 days later. The killing and Penny's delayed arrest sparked nationwide protests, with renewed calls for reform to support systems for vulnerable New Yorkers.
Jordan Neely, who was involved in a modern-day lynching, he should not have been dispossessed, he should not have been living on a train, he should not have been hungry. We are here today to say, yes, we want to indict the killer, Daniel Penny, but we have to rise up and we have to do something about this system that is enabling dispossession, that is keeping people unhoused. We know how much it is to afford a little place out here in New York City. We know that this system enables poor people to suffer and to die off, and we will not allow it.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams said he intended to reduce the number of homeless people in the subway by increasing police patrols and expanding outreach to the mentally ill, including the use of involuntary hospitalizations. A number of conservative broadcasters and Republican politicians around the country have sprung to Penny's defense. An illegal fund for him has drawn nearly $3 million in donations. The contents of the grand jury indictment will remain sealed until Penny appears in court on a later date, according to sources. Neither the district attorney's office nor Penny's lawyer responded to requests for comment.
Greece has declared 3 days of national mourning after an overloaded migrant boat capsized off its shore on Wednesday. Dozens of people were killed in the incident, and with hundreds still missing, Greek authorities say the death toll is likely to rise. Most of those on board were reportedly from Egypt, Syria, and Pakistan. Greek President Katerina Sakellaropoulou visited some of the survivors, who had been taken to a warehouse shelter in the port of Kalamata. The city's mayor, Thanasis Vasilopoulos, said services had been mobilized to help the migrants.
We've taken care of all of this. We've prepared the site, the toilets, the showers, anything that's needed, from clothes to anything else. Food has come for those staying here overnight and for tomorrow's breakfast, lunch and dinner.
The shipwreck was one of the deadliest off Greece in several years. State broadcaster ERT said the vessel set sail from the Libyan town of Tobruk and was headed to Italy. Authorities did not confirm the ship's departure port. Rescue support charity Alarm Phone said it believed around 750 people were aboard when the ship went under, while the United Nations Migration Agency put the number at around 400. A UN spokesman said Secretary General Antonio Guterres was horrified by the reports. Stefan Dujarric added that countries need to work together to prevent such tragedy.
The only way we're going to get safe pathways, the only way we're going to avoid people going on these perilous journeys, the only way we're going to get criminal gangs out of this equation is if countries of origin, countries of transit, and countries of destination work together. We have the instruments, the Global Compact on Migration, international refugee law. It's a matter of, in a way, political leadership and political courage and determination.
Greece is one of the main routes into the European Union for refugees and migrants from the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. Nearly 1,000 people are estimated to have died or gone missing in the Mediterranean this year, according to the UN.
Birds chirp and lush trees sway in the wind, a scene of Caribbean tranquility. But just outside the sleepy Cuban village called Bejucal is what the U.S. government suspects has long been an intelligence gathering facility that once hid Soviet nuclear warheads. Now, large parabolic antennas are partially obscured by vegetation, and a sign nearby warns, "Keep out, military zone." The United States believes the base, just 116 miles from Florida's Key West, is used to intercept U.S. electronic communications, according to a Federal Communications Commission document from November 2022. And it's newly in focus after the Wall Street Journal, citing unnamed American officials, reported Washington was worried that China was working towards setting up a spy base in Cuba to better eavesdrop on the U.S. The White House National Security Council did not respond to Reuters' questions on whether Bejucal housed the alleged Chinese spy facilities, or whether it remained concerned about the site. China on Monday denied the Journal reports. A foreign ministry spokesperson called the allegations a farce. The Biden administration has shared few details. Here's Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Monday.
With regard to Cuba, when this administration took office in January 2021, we were briefed on a number of sensitive efforts by Beijing around the world to expand their overseas logistics, basing, collection infrastructure to allow them to project and sustain military power at a greater distance. Based on the information we have, PRC conducted an upgrade of its intelligence collection facilities in Cuba in 2019.
The communist-run government said Blinken's assertions about a Chinese spy base in Cuba are false. And it has dismissed prior allegations as a U.S. fabrication meant to justify Washington's decades-old economic embargo against the island. Perhaps unsurprisingly, local Cubans had little to say about the military site near town.
I don't know. I know it's a military installation. You can't go there.
During the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, Bejucal gained notoriety after U.S. spy planes uncovered it as a hiding place for Soviet nuclear warheads. Moscow backed down and removed the missiles, but it is widely regarded as the moment when the U.S. and Soviet Union came closest to nuclear confrontation. But now, the small communist-ruled island could once again be central in great power rivalries.
Taxi drivers blocked streets Wednesday in Barcelona. They have been angered by a ruling from Europe's top court. Last week it threw out rules set by the city that restrict the number of cars working with ride-hailing apps like Uber. The court said the restrictions were contrary to EU law. But the city and operators say rules are needed to protect taxi firms. Sahid Sayed is vice president of local company Elite Taxi.
Platforms like Uber, Bolt, they want to finish the taxi. And we want government to take action because we are more than 70,000 families that we belong and work in taxis, and they have to regulate it.
The European Court said restrictions could only be imposed to benefit general interests like protecting the environment. They can't be aimed at specific businesses. That may now set a precedent for other areas in Spain with similar rules, including Valencia and the Balearic Islands. Uber rival Bolt has said the verdict offered fairness and stability. Taxi operators won't be convinced. Driver Javier Fernandez says it's all part of a move to push people towards private services.
With
the taxi, they are doing exactly the same as they are doing with healthcare. They are undermining all public services. With public health, they are undermining it so that you get medical insurance, a contract with a medical insurer, and you pay for it.
However, the ruling has been welcomed by many self-employed drivers and fleet owners, some of whom lost their jobs due to the restrictions. One small fleet owner told Reuters it marked a great day for people who made their living from ride-hailing.